Hi everyone, my name is Jen. I'm a Colors by Gina national artist. I've been with the company for almost 4 years now. Today I have the pleasure of showing you how I'm going to be demonstrating doing some beige blonde, getting ready for spring, keeping things nice and cool, no brassy tones. So I'm going to show you the techniques and the color formulations I'll be using on my model here. So she just has a golden brown base all around. She has never dyed her hair. She's got virgin hair. So I'm going to be showing you the formulations that we're going to be using. I'm going to be using a color melt technique with not only the color, the curated color by Colors by Gina, but I'm also going to be using the lightning dust, which is Colors by Gina as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about the hair color. It comes in 3-ounce tubes. That's really nice because you're able to get more bang for your buck in the salon and more applications per head. So the 3-ounce tubes are really good. Ever since I've switched over to using Colors by Gina solely, I love the fact that I don't have to keep as much supply on hand because I have larger tubes. We're going to be using the 5.32 GV, which is a beige brown, light beige brown. We're going to be doing more of a color melt on her, so I'll explain as I go, but basically I'm going to be using multiple shades and we're going to be melting them together, and I'm also going to be using the lightning dust on the tips, and that's going to help create some lightness on the ends and some focal points for brightness around the face. The 8.13, which is 8 BG, and this is a light beige blonde, so everything nice and cool. I'm also going to be using 11.32, which is 11 GV, and this is a high lift beige blonde. So I'm going to be incorporating this as slices also with the lightning dust, kind of creating a multifaceted technique. I also want to share with you the Colors by Gina brushes. They are so nice. They are very come to a pointed tip here, very feathered, very nice, very flexible. I love the color application of these for not only larger saturation for hair color, but also for balayage techniques, which is what I'm going to be doing today. So definitely when you're making your color order, don't forget to get your wide brushes. Okay, I also want to show you the Colors by Gina bowls I'm going to be using today. So they're really nice. They have this little edge here, so when you need to wipe off excess from the brush, that you're able to do it with a neater application and you're not getting messy all over the bowl. And also in the bottom, it's ribbed so that when you're mixing your color, it's able to mix more thoroughly with the color producer. So again, little tricks and tips with using the products that Gina has developed for her color line, so you get the absolute best result. Okay guys, as I'm mixing this, I want to show you use a scale for accuracy. It just makes it so that you're not wasting product and you're able to have a more accurate color representation every single time you're doing this on your client. And for my formulation on her darkest color, which I'm going to be using chunking through as a color blocking low light, is the 5.32, the 5 GV, and I'm going to mix that 1 to 1.5 ratio with only 5 volume. I don't need anything higher because I need to deposit color only. I do not need any lift. So again, using a scale really helps with your accuracy of delivering the same color results each time. And another trick of what I do, if you're mixing more than one like dark color, is I use these little coffee stir sticks, and I'll write the formula down on the coffee stir sticks. So that helps me remember what I am using. So look how nice and creamy that formula came together so quickly. The next color is 8.13, which is 8 BG. And this is going to be used in part of that color melting. I'm going to use the 20 volume color producer. I do need to see some lift on that mid shaft since she's darker based. Now I'm going to be mixing the 11.32, and this is 11 GV. It is a high lift beige blonde. I'm going to be using this as ribbons, which would be slices throughout the hair. Okay, the next thing I'm going to be mixing is the Color by Gina's Lightning Dust. It is a blue base lightener with up to 9 levels of lift. And in the very end, after we're all done rinsing her out, I am going to be toning her the remainder of the hair as far as what the lightning dust lifts. I'm going to be doing 9.31, which is a 9 GB, a very light beige blonde. I'm going to be mixing this 1 part to 2 parts color producer. I'm going to use 5 volume so that it deposits and neutralizes any unwanted yellow or golden tones. So this is going to be at the end after I rinse her out. This will be the final step. It'll be the toner. We're going to be taking the parting from in front of the ear, right around the apex of the head, and we're going to clip that towards the front. We're going to be working with 3 sections. I do a lot of V sectioning. It's going to look like a V in the base of the head. First section, we're going to do color melting. So I'm going to do the darkest formula about 2 inches, maybe 1.5 inches below her, from her roots down, which is the 5GV, the 5.32. Then I'm going to melt in the 8.13. Also going to be adding the lightning dust on the ends in a V pattern as well. So I'll show you exactly what I mean. Keep your section taut so that you are laying down the product and not pulling up other hairs with it. Now I'm going to mix the 8.13, which is 8BG, and that's going to be just below it. We're going to marry them together. So there will be no lines of demarcation. It's just going to marry in one color into the next. So here where there's 5.32, we're going to be marrying into the 8.13, and then in the middle where they meet, it's going to create almost like a 7.5 custom shade. And I'm going to now balayage paint the tips. I'm going to run some of it right over that hair color that's above it. I am going to paint the back side because I do want there to be blonder tips. And I'm going to feather up. Not every section is going to be painted like this, about every other, maybe every second to third section. I am going to do some dark ribbon lowlights as well. The next section, I'm going to do same thing. We're going to be working in the V's. So now I'm going to be using that 11.32. It's going to be a thinner section, only about 1 inch. Another V section. I'm going to paint that 11.32 from root to ends. Okay, on this one I created a horizontal parting, you can see, and I'm going to paint the 5.32 all the way down. This is going to be like a low light ribbon. Okay, I created another horizontal parting. This one's going to be using Formula 1 5.32 on the roots, and then about 1 inch below, we're going to do the 8.13 Formula 2 on the mid shaft, and then I'm going to be using the lightning dust on the tips. In this section, I'm going to be doing a W formation, and I'll show you what that is next. Okay, now for the mid shaft, 8.13, marry it in there, melt it together, use your fingers to blend, put your hand behind, use the brush to push through. Now I'm going to take the lightning dust on the tips, and this one I'm leaving a little bit more of the tips out, and I'm going to be creating 2 V's, so almost a W. So one section here, I'm going to do a V, so kind of like higher on the outside, a little lower on the middle, a little higher on the outside again. And just kind of blending and making sure. Now this is not going to fully cut through and saturate through that hair color. It's more or less to shift the tone on the top there. So the tips are going to be fully saturated with the lightning dust, and these are going to lighten more. But as you go up the hair shaft, that's just going to be a different blending of a color. It's going to create like a third tone. Again, protect the hair. So I'm creating a little bit of, each side is going to be a little higher, like a V, and in the middle is going to be a little lower. So a little higher on the edges, a little lower in the middle. Going to create different color tones as it transitions down the hair shaft. But the tips I am going to saturate because I want to see them brighter and lighter. I'm using the side of my brush. Okay, I've created another horizontal parting above that. I'm going to break it up into 2. I'm going to do the 11.32 from the roots down to the tips. This is going to act as a high lift hair color highlight. Okay, I'm going to break this last section in half. I'm going to do a low light of the 5.32 from root to tip. Right, root color, melt it into the 8.13, melt it into the lightning dust tips. Since she has more hair on this side of her head, I'll be working over here, so this has longer time to process. And we're going to start the same way. We're going to start at a diagonal back And we're going to be doing the 5.32 to the 8.13 and then the lightning dust on the ends. And then we're going to also be adding in slices of the 11 GV, and also we're going to be adding in slices of the 5.32, the 5 GV for dimension and depth. So I'm going to apply the 5.32 on the client's roots. This is Formula 1. Bring it down about an inch, inch and a half. Do your mid shaft section, the 8.31, 8 BG. And I want more lightness around her face. So I'm going to be not going so low, and I'm going to be doing the lightning dust right over that. And we're going to go a little bit higher, and it's like a slant. So a little higher in the front, a little lower in the back, but saturating through the tips. This is going to give her a little higher focal point at the face, the frame of the face. Now around the hairline, I am going to be careful with putting the 11 GV right at the hairline here. I am going to do a little root tap of the 5 GV. Just going to tap that root. So I'm not taking it very low. And this is going to go on her front hairline too, so I'm going to do that right now as I'm doing this. And again, this is to prevent from having like blonde right at the root, and then she'll have like hot roots. Back here, it would be covered and is going to be veiled by the darker tones. Up here in the front, it would be too noticeable to have it right at her hairline. Okay, so now I'll do that 11 GV. It's going to be melted and married right into that little 5 GV. You can just take your fingers and kind of rub them together. So there's no lines of demarcation. So this is just going to be straight 5.32 from root to tip. I'm going to do her bang now. So I'm going to do that 5.32 at the root, the mid shaft, the 8.13, and then I'm going to be doing the lightning dust on the tips. Since I do want her blonder around the face, I'm not going to go so low. I'm only going to do about 1 inch max. Just tap the roots on that 5.32. Blend into the 8.13. Again, I want more lightning towards the face. I'm pulling it towards me so I can really control the tightness of that section and how much blonding there will be. And then the lightning dust right over it. Check the underside, make sure you don't have any blotches. I'm going to go back to working on this section over here. We're going to go back to our Formula 1 at the root, 5.32, mid shaft 8.13, and the ends the lightning dust. Here I'm going to tap the root again with the 5.32 so that we don't get hot roots. One more slice of 5.32, and then we'll finish off with our other formula with all 3 color melt colors together. .32 on the roots.